Previous to coming to work here at House of Hope, I had been in full-time ministry with my husband for a little over 17 years. We did children's ministry together. And a lot of those years were really great and precious, but there was also a little bit of a struggle with those years because when we first got married, I had kind of made the decision that I was gonna kind of take a back seat to my husband. And he never asked me to do that or assumed that I would do that, but that's just kind of what ended up happening. I felt like it was my Christian wife duty to do. And so I kind of laid aside the giftings and anointings and callings that I had on my own personal life and kind of just absorbed his and spent my time really trying to make his ministry successful. There was a little bit of resentment that would kind of bubble up from time to time because here he was doing what he was called to do, what he was so passionate about doing, and I felt kind of like God had forgotten me. I felt like I was just kind of an afterthought by God. Several years ago we had a consulting firm come into our church, and they set aside each staff member individually and just asked them, like, if money was no object, what would you want to do? How would you lead your ministry? What would you do with your life? And at first I panicked because I didn't know how to answer that question for myself. And then I kind of shared really openly and honestly with her what I felt like God had called me to do and what I was passionate about. And I remember the whole time I was talking, I kept thinking, oh, this isn't really what other people want me to do or to say. I should be saying this over here that has to do with kids ministry. And I left the meeting and I went to my husband and I told him, hey, I shared really honestly what my heart is passionate about. And he was like, that's great. And I just remember feeling bad about it. It never struck me in that moment that maybe God had something more for me. I just felt guilt that I wasn't fitting into the mold that someone else had for me to fit into. When I started here, there was a little bit of fear because I hadn't ever stood on my own 2 feet before. I had always hidden behind someone else's name or ministry. And there was insecurity, but I've just been so supported and just learned how to be brave and to do things that seem difficult or that I don't know how to do. I've also had the opportunity to go through Ultimate Journey, and that has been such a life-changing experience for me. Not only did it help me address that emotional baggage that I was carrying around, but a lot of those insecurities and that fear developed from that emotional baggage that I was carrying around. I feel like a different person. I look back at myself a year or 2 years ago, and I'm such a different woman than that person was. There's a confidence that I lacked that I now have in Christ. I'm thankful that I took a step of faith and came in here to apply for this job, but I'm also just so thankful for this ministry because, like I said before, it is such a life-giving environment and it is such a safe place for people to discover who they are in Christ, what He's calling them to be. It's just a beautiful, beautiful ministry that just touches so many people's lives, and I'm so thankful for it.